Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today, we're getting into some pretty fascinating stuff, I think.
No, yeah.
We are going to be exploring the world of Carl Jung
Very cool.
and specifically how his ideas can help us, overcome all those pesky doubts we get and actually manifest
Right.
our desires and really make them happen.
I love it.
Yeah, and we're going to be drawing on a video that breaks down some of these key principles of Jungian psychology.
Excellent.
So yeah, get ready for some serious aha moments.
Yeah, Jung is just full of those potent ideas that,
Right.
Once you wrap your head around them, you see the world a little differently.
Totally. And actually the video jumps right into this idea that doubt really stems from this conflict between our conscious and unconscious minds.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like this inner tug of war.
Yeah, like a battle going on.
Yeah, exactly. So on one hand, my conscious mind, I might be like, okay, this is what I want. I'm setting my sights on this goal. But then deep down, those unconscious beliefs and fears might be working against me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
you can think of it like a ship, right? Your conscious mind is the captain,
Oh, I like that.
charting the course, setting the direction.
Right.
But then down in the engine room,
Yeah.
you've got the unconscious mind, and that might be churning away with all sorts of doubts and fears based on, past experiences or, those limiting beliefs we've picked up along the way.
And that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So even if I'm consciously super motivated to start a business or write a book, my unconscious might be holding me back
Yeah.
because of a past failure or some deep-seated belief that I'm just not good enough or something.
Right, exactly. And that struggle, that push and pull between the conscious and the unconscious, that's where doubt really takes root.
Wow. So basically we have to get a handle on these unconscious forces if we want to manifest our desires.
Yeah, I think that's the key insight.
Okay, but how do we even begin to do that? It's like trying to fix a car engine in the dark.
Right. It can feel very mysterious.
Yeah, we need to shed some light on what's going on under the hood.
Yeah, well, Jung believed that our desires themselves are actually like a map, leading us towards a deeper understanding of our own psyche.
Oh, wow.
He saw desires not just as these fleeting wants, but as these impulses towards personal growth and realizing our hidden potential.
Hold on. So you're saying my crazy desire to climb Mount Everest or learn a new language is actually my unconscious trying to tell me something deeper about who I am and what I'm capable of?
That's the idea.
That's pretty wild.
It is. And he took it even further with his concept of archetypes.
Okay, now we're getting into some Jungian territory.
Right, exactly. These are these universal symbolic energies that exist in what he called the collective unconscious.
Okay.
So think of them as these ancient patterns of human experience that are embedded within all of us.
So you mean those universal stories and characters that we see across cultures and throughout history?
Exactly, like the hero, the wise old man, the mother figure. Oh, wow, I see. So you're saying that my desire to be a successful entrepreneur might actually be tapping into, say, the hero archetype?
Yeah.
That drive to overcome challenges and achieve great things.
Exactly.
It's not just about wanting material success, it's about aligning with this deeper, more universal energy.
Right. And understanding these archetypes can be incredibly powerful
Yeah.
because they can help us unlock the true meaning and potential behind our desires.
Wow. So our desires aren't just random, they're like clues to a deeper story unfolding within each of us.
I love that way of putting it.
It makes you really think twice about what you truly long for.
It does. It invites you to go deeper.
Yeah, definitely. But there's always a catch, right?
Always a catch.
I have a feeling that just recognizing these desires is only half the battle.
You're absolutely right. Because even when we begin to understand these deeper desires,
Right.
we still have to contend with the potential for our unconscious
Yeah.
to sabotage our efforts. Yeah, because it's not like we can just flip a switch and suddenly be in total control of our unconscious minds.
No, it takes work. And Jung was very clear about this. He famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Whoa.
It's a powerful statement, right?
It really is. It's almost like if we don't become aware of those unconscious beliefs and patterns running in the background,
Yeah,
we're just at their mercy. Like being controlled by a puppet master we can't even see.
exactly. Jung compared it to driving a car without understanding how the engine works.
Oh,
You might get somewhere, but imagine the control and freedom you would have if you really understood the mechanics.
right. Yeah, that's a great analogy. So how do we start making the unconscious conscious? Where do we even begin to untangle all of that?
Well, that's where Jung's technique of active imagination comes into play.
Active imagination.
Yeah,
It sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel.
I know, right? But it's actually about intentionally engaging with the unconscious, not just letting it run on autopilot.
So how does that actually work?
Well, the video gives us a simplified exercise to try.
Okay.
Imagine closing your eyes and visualizing a desired outcome, something you truly long for.
Huh.
As you hold that image in your mind, pay attention to any thoughts, feelings, or even images that arise.
So it's not about passively daydreaming. It's about actively noticing what comes up in response to visualizing my goals.
Precisely. Those thoughts and feelings are messengers from your unconscious.
So for example, if my goal is to write a novel, I might visualize myself holding that published book in my hands.
Yeah.
And then suddenly a wave of fear washes over me.
Right.
Would that be my unconscious speaking?
Exactly. And instead of pushing those feelings away,
Yeah.
you would engage with them. Ask yourself where that fear comes from. Is it a fear of failure? Of criticism? Of not being good enough?
It's like we have this whole internal landscape that we're usually not even aware of, but it's influencing our actions and choices all the time.
All the time. And active imagination gives us a way to shine a light on that landscape and start understanding the forces that might be holding us back.
This is pretty mind-blowing. Instead of letting those unconscious forces control me, I can start to become aware of them and maybe even change them.
That's the power of it.
That feels really empowering.
It is.
Right.
And that's how we start to create alignment between our conscious desires and our unconscious beliefs.
This is giving me a lot to think about.
Me too.
But I have a feeling we're only just scratching the surface here.
You are. There's a lot more to explore,
Right.
including the role of vision and faith in this process.
Okay. I'm ready to dive deeper.
Yeah.
Tell me, what did Jung have to say about the power of vision and how it relates to all of this?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll get into next.
Perfect. I can't wait.
All right.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we've been unpacking how our desires, they often have like a deeper meaning than we realize, especially when we view them through, that Jungian lens of these archetypes. But even once we've recognized those desires, there's still that challenge of like getting our unconscious beliefs on board with those goals.
You got to get everybody working together.
Totally. And that's where active imagination comes in.
Yeah, active imagination is all about having a conscious dialogue with your unconscious.
Okay.
So instead of letting those doubts and fears just, run on autopilot, you actively engage with them, you explore their origins and understand what role they might be playing in holding you back.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm curious, though, what role does vision play in all of this? Does just having a strong vision for what we want, does that help align those conscious and unconscious desires?
Oh, vision is absolutely essential. Jung believed that your unconscious mind is incredibly powerful, but it needs direction. It needs a blueprint to work with.
Okay, so it's not enough to just have a vague idea of what I want to. I need to get crystal clear about my goals, almost like creating a detailed roadmap
Exactly.
for my unconscious to follow.
The more specific and vivid your vision, the better your unconscious mind can help you manifest it.
So it's about engaging all the senses and making that vision as real as possible in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's something else, right? There's another piece to this puzzle.
There is. There's a crucial piece that we haven't really talked about yet, and that's faith.
Faith. That's interesting. Isn't that more of a religious or spiritual concept?
It can be, but for Jung, faith wasn't about blind belief or ignoring reality. It was about trusting the process of the psyche, knowing that even when things feel uncertain or challenging, there's a deeper intelligence at work.
So even when those doubts inevitably creep in, and they always do, we don't have to panic or give up on our dreams.
Not at all. Doubt is a natural part of the process. What matters is how we relate to it. So instead of seeing doubt as a sign that we're on the wrong path, we can view it as an opportunity for deeper self-awareness.
So it's not the enemy. It's more like a teacher or a guide.
Exactly. And when we can hold that vision with faith and navigate those doubts with curiosity, something really remarkable can happen.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
We talked about it briefly earlier. Those meaningful coincidences.
Right. Jung believed that when our inner and outer worlds are in harmony, we start to experience these meaningful coincidences that go beyond mere chance.
Okay.
They're often accompanied by a strong feeling of significance, like the universe is nudging us in the right direction.
I have to admit, this is the part of Jung's work that I find the most intriguing, but also the most difficult to grasp. How do we know if something is genuinely a synchronicity
Right.
or just a random event?
That's a great question. And to be honest, it's not always easy to tell,
Right.
but Jung emphasized that true synchronicities are often marked by a strong emotional charge.
Hmm.
There's a sense of awe, a feeling that this event is somehow connected to something bigger than ourselves.
This is not just bumping into an old friend on the street.
Right.
It's bumping into them at the exact moment you were just thinking about them and feeling like it was meant to happen.
Exactly. There's often a sense of knowing, a feeling of destiny or purpose woven into the encounter.
Okay. So it's about paying attention not only to the event itself, but also to the feeling it evokes in us.
Exactly.
Mm.
And the more we cultivate this awareness of synchronicity, the more we may start to notice these meaningful coincidences appearing in our lives.
That makes me think about a time when I was feeling really lost and uncertain about my career path.
Huh.
I had spent weeks applying for jobs, just feeling completely discouraged. And then out of the blue, I received an email from someone I hadn't spoken to in years, offering me a position at their company.
Wow.
And it was in a field I was really interested in.
That sounds like a classic synchronicity.
It really did feel that way. I had been putting so much energy into visualizing myself working in a creative field,
Right.
and then this opportunity just landed in my lap.
Yeah.
It was almost too perfect to be a coincidence.
And how did that experience make you feel?
To be honest, at first I was shocked and a little skeptical,
Uh-huh.
but as I started exploring the opportunity, it felt more and more aligned with what I had been envisioning.
Right.
It felt like the universe was responding to my desires and my efforts.
That's a beautiful example of how synchronicity can work.
Yeah.
It's not always about these grand, life-altering events. Sometimes it's these subtle nudges or unexpected opportunities that appear when we're in alignment with our true selves.
That's so true. And now that we're talking about it, I'm starting to recall other instances in my life that felt like synchronicities. It's as if we're surrounded by these subtle signs all the time,
Yeah.
but we're often too busy or distracted to notice them.
That's why practices like mindfulness and meditation can be so powerful.
Right.
They help us quiet the mental chatter and become more attuned to those subtle whispers of the universe.
Okay, so we've explored a lot of theoretical ground here, but I know our listeners are probably eager to hear about how they can actually put these ideas into practice in their own lives.
Absolutely. And the good news is, Jungian psychology offers a wealth of practical tools and techniques for working with the unconscious, overcoming doubt, and manifesting those desires.
Okay, awesome.
Huh.
Let's dive into some of those practical tools. What are some tangible things our listeners can start doing today to put these ideas into action?
Well, we already touched on some powerful techniques like journaling and meditation.
Yeah.
The video suggests using these practices to really work with the unconscious, clarify our vision, and cultivate that sense of faith that we talked about earlier.
Right. So, for example, if my goal is to launch a successful online business, I could start by journaling about it as if it's already happened.
Exactly.
Describe the details of my business, the feeling of accomplishment, the positive impact I'm making.
You got it. By vividly describing that desired reality, you're essentially imprinting it onto your unconscious mind. And then through meditation, you can visualize yourself living that reality, engaging all your senses to make it as real as possible.
It sounds like a powerful combination. Writing to clarify and solidify the vision.
Yeah.
And then using meditation to really embody it.
Exactly.
So we've been exploring some pretty profound ideas from Jungian psychology.
It's deep stuff.
Yeah. We've talked about, how our desires can point us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves, how active imagination can help us connect with our unconscious.
Right.
And even how seemingly random coincidences might actually be meaningful synchronicities,
Yeah.
Guiding us along our path.
It's amazing when you start to see those connections.
It really is. It's a
Yeah.
lot to take in, but in a way that feels really empowering.
It is empowering. It reminds us that we have so much more agency than we realize. We're not just passive passengers in our own lives.
Right. We have the power to actively shape our realities
Yeah.
and manifest our desires. But how do we bridge that gap between theory and practice? What are some concrete steps we can take to actually start integrating these ideas into our daily lives?
We already touched on some powerful techniques like journaling and meditation.
Right.
The video suggests using these practices to work with the unconscious, clarify our vision, and cultivate that sense of faith that we talked about.
Right. So for example, if my goal is to launch a successful online business, I could start by journaling about it as if it's already happened.
Exactly.
Describe the details of my business, the feeling of accomplishment, the positive impact I'm making, that kind of thing.
Yeah. By vividly describing that desired reality, you're essentially imprinting it onto your unconscious mind. And then through meditation, you can visualize yourself living that reality, engaging all your senses to make it as real as possible.
It sounds like a really powerful combination. Writing to clarify and solidify the vision, and then using meditation to truly embody it.
It is. And beyond these foundational practices, there are so many other ways to apply Jungian principles.
Okay. Like what?
Well, for example, Jung placed a lot of emphasis on dream analysis.
Interesting. So we're not just talking about daydreaming here. We're talking about paying attention to those nighttime dreams that we often forget.
Exactly. Jung believed that dreams are like a direct line to our unconscious.
Wow. They're full of symbolic language and imagery that can offer incredible insights into our hidden beliefs, fears, and desires.
I've always been fascinated by dreams, but I've never really thought about them as a tool for personal growth.
Right.
So are you suggesting that we should start keeping a dream journal and try to analyze those symbols and recurring themes?
Absolutely. Start by writing down your dreams as soon as you wake up, even if they seem fragmented or nonsensical. Over time, you might start to notice patterns or recurring symbols that reveal something deeper about what's going on within your unconscious.
That's a great tip. I'm definitely going to start paying more attention to my dreams.
Good. And there's another aspect of Jungian psychology that we should touch on. Perhaps one of the most challenging, but also potentially the most liberating.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. What is it?
Exploring our shadow side.
Ah, the shadow side. That part of ourselves we tend to hide or deny, right? The less than desirable aspects of our personality.
Nice.
You got it. It's those parts of ourselves that we judge or deem unacceptable. But Jung believed that until we integrate our shadow, it will continue to control us from the unconscious, often manifesting in unhealthy ways.
So by trying to pretend that part of ourselves doesn't exist, we're actually giving it more power.
Exactly. But integrating our shadow isn't about becoming a bad person. It's about embracing our wholeness, acknowledging the full spectrum of who we are, both light and dark.
That makes sense. But how do we actually go about exploring our shadow side? It sounds a little intimidating.
It can be, but there are ways. One way is to pay attention to our projections. Notice when you're judging someone harshly or feeling intensely triggered by their behavior.
Oh, okay.
Often those strong reactions are revealing something about our own shadow side.
So if I find myself constantly criticizing a coworker for being arrogant, that might be a sign that I have some unacknowledged arrogance within myself.
It's definitely worth exploring. And another powerful way to work with the shadow is through creative expression, whether it's journaling, painting, dancing, or any other form of art. These activities can help us connect with and express those hidden parts of ourselves in a safe and healthy way.
That's a great point. It's like giving our shadow a voice through creativity.
Exactly. And as you become more aware of your shadow, you can start to work with it, integrate it, and ultimately transform it from a source of shame or fear into a source of strength and wisdom.
Wow. I'm starting to see how Jungian psychology isn't just about achieving specific goals or manifesting material desires. It's about a much deeper journey of self-discovery and wholeness.
It is, and it's a journey that unfolds throughout our lives. Jung called this process individuation.
Individuation.
The process of becoming a unique and fully integrated individual, realizing our full potential as human beings.
It sounds like a lifelong adventure. One that involves facing our shadows, embracing our complexities, and constantly evolving and growing.
And the beauty of it is that it's a journey we all get to embark on, each in our own unique way. It's an invitation to explore the depths of our own being and discover the incredible gifts and talents that we have to offer the world.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of Jungian psychology, but we've already covered so much ground.
We have, and I hope our listeners will continue to explore these ideas and discover how they can apply them to their own lives.
I have a feeling they will. We'll be sure to include some resources in the show notes for those who want to dive deeper into Jung's work.
Great idea.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of Carl Jung. We've covered a lot of territory today, from the nature of desire to the power of the unconscious and the mystery of synchronicity.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has. And remember, the power to overcome doubt and manifest your desires lies within you. It's about tapping into your own inner wisdom, trusting the process of the psyche, and having the courage to embrace the fullness of who you are.
Beautifully said.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep trusting the journey.